Hi Meghdeep.
Hi.
Welcome to Sudeep Audio's channel.
Thank you so much.
It's good that we bumped each other at Yashra Studios.
Yes.
And it is nice to know that you've produced music for some recent films like MS Dhoni and Salman Khan's Main Hoon Hero.
Yes.
And many other songs which we'll share about. So quickly run us through your musical journey and some interesting twists and turns that happened in your life and career.
So first of all, thank you for having me actually, because I've been waiting to come on Sudeep Audio's channel, more than any award nomination. And yeah, because I've been watching so many dignitaries of music on your channel and all, so I really wanted to be a part of it someday. Thank you so much for having me. As far as my musical journey is concerned, it starts from my childhood. I was born to a musical family, a culturally rich family, and I happen to be the fourth generation of musicians in my family. Yeah. So my father is Mr. Dilip Bose, and he happens to be a very renowned Hindi gospel music composer and singer. He's not in Bollywood, he's not here, but he's back there in MP.
And touchwood, he's still surviving with music as
surviving. He's rocking it, with his music.
This is an important message, because many people think that only Bollywood can help you grow and survive as a musician.
I am an example where Bollywood has not been there in my initial stages of nourishment as a musician. My basic journey, my very first step of music started with my father, not as a student, but because my father has been in the scene for a very long time. My childhood was spent in studios rather than playgrounds, and another reason why I'm so fat today. And so I used to travel along with him to different studios and observe how he used to conduct sessions and work with musicians and arrange music and stuff. And he taught me the discipline of written music, what we call arrangement.
Did you learn Western notations?
Yes, so I'm a trained pianist in Western classical. So my journey started way back in my childhood. My father brought a very interesting blend of Rabindra Sangeet and Baul music of Bengal, and he blended it with arrangements of South India, And his favorite arranger back there in South, Mr. Gerson Anthony, who happens to be a very prolific music composer in the Malayalam scene. Okay. He happens to be a very big inspiration in the way I write music and stuff. So my father used to take me to Kerala and Mumbai and all the places he used to record music and stuff. And that journey basically turned out to be a great nutrition for my musical parts, for my musical tastes and the way I was growing up. So my upbringing was in a very different music. It was not Bollywood, it was not Western, it was an amalgamated thing of different cultures.
What kind of music did you listen to when you were kind of a young...
My father made me listen to a very different sort of music, Although Pancham Da was his favorite, but he never forced me to listen to him. He let me choose my influences.
So what were you listening to?
I was hardcore listening to A.R. Rahman Sahab. I was listening to parts of Ilayaraja Sahab. Yani is my childhood favorite. He has inspired me a lot. My dad's stuff, a lot of it. What he used to do along with the musicians in South India. Right. So that is what my basic influence has been.
Right. Since so you grew up in Bhopal, you said?
Yes, Indore and Bhopal.
Coming from a small town, so-called small town, did you find it difficult to find friends who also understood your tastes of music? Kya sunta rehta hai?
Trust me, I never had friends back then, and majority of my time was spent in my music room.
You didn't mind that?
I didn't mind that actually. I was sort of left out when I was a child because not on a bad page, but I just couldn't mingle up with the people of my own age. Okay. Because my father had put me so much into orientation of being with those senior musicians out there, and so my taste was basically to talk to them about music, and so I was moreover interested in what a Strat looks like or what a guitar is.
And you were enjoying it.
And I was enjoying it. That's where that's what you call, I think, finding true love, where you just think about it all the time. Right. So yeah, my childhood was very much asocial. It's still I still live a very asocial life. And that's because I'm more focused on music, and
Right.
that's where I'm engrossed in.
Okay.
So I didn't. So back there in Bhopal or Indore, I knew there were limitations, and there were people who didn't think the way I think, or who didn't think the way I wanted to work, and stuff like that. But because I was traveling a lot out of MP with my father, I'm not saying Bhopal is a backward place in terms of music. Rather, it gave me more exposure to good music because there were French musicians, French ensembles coming in. There's a lot of classical music out there. And the best part is that it's connected to the roots. It's not yet commercialized, So that really helped me, understand more world music, more classical music, and stuff like that. Yeah, and all this music, all the music that you hear and that you live with becomes a part of your journey, becomes a part of your character. So when you basically start producing, when you start creating music, it just becomes your subconscious thing. It's your nature, So I think Bhopal played a good role in nourishing me with good music, but yeah, professional to reach out to the professional horizon, I had to come to Bombay, and that too, it happened in a way that I was selected for Berkeley in 2012.
How did that happen? Selection from Berkeley?
I applied online, and there was an audition in Bombay.
You have to audition.
Yeah, you have to audition. Because they want musicians, they don't want people who work on software or something like that. They want musicians first, irrespective of their...
That is to study further or to...
To study further, yes. So I was selected for Berkeley, and I had a Dean's Merit scholarship. I had near to 50% scholarship on tuition. But the economic conditions were not favorable that time. So I immediately decided to shift to Bombay, and I had worked a great deal under my father by then, understanding. And my father taught me a lot of rules in music. And when I came to Bombay, I joined Mr. Raju Singh as an assistant. I started working.
How did that connect happen? Because a lot of people would want to, after watching the video, want to know, okay, Bombay to aa gaya, what is my next step?
So it was sort of my fortune, because I bumped into Mr. Raju Singh in the Berkeley auditions, where he brought his son to audition for the same course and all. Okay. So I bumped into him, and I, without any keeping any future perspective in my mind, I just had a talk with him, that I really admire his music, And I heard his music a lot. We've all, like people of my generation, we've grown up listening to his music. A lot of tracks out there. So I told him that I admire your music, and I would love to work with you someday. And that time I used to live in Bhopal. I was not living in Bombay. Okay. So 2013 I shifted here. 2013 May. And I called up right away, because he was the only person I knew as a composer directly that I can talk to, And I went out to him.
So was he open enough to let you come?
Yes, he actually did that. He took my call, and very nicely he called me up to his place. He said, play me your stuff. And he kept me the next day, So the next day I was working with him, And I've assisted him for a 3 years tenure, where he's taught me scoring, he's taught me, production and advanced.
For the sake of other viewers to understand this process, when you say that he taught me and I started working with him, it was obviously a new environment for you.
Correct.
Like studio Bhopal mein, you were not in a studio and stuff. So how did that transition? Were you nervous? Did you kind of find it difficult to, kind of adjust?
So the biggest challenge of my shift was that my father had shown me a world where everything was live, everything. So back there in Kerala, all the string sections, woodwinds, everything is recorded live, in a one-take session. And then there are overdubs for any sort of mistakes. When I came to Bombay, I realized that everything is programmed, So that was my biggest challenge, that me being a person who is solely dependent on live musicians, everything I thought was by keeping in mind the musicians who would play it, and me being a guitarist, I've been a musician first, after that I turned into a programmer or producer. So I had the challenge of understanding and giving out the best within everything within the box, inside the box. So that was my initial challenge. It took me a year and a half to overcome that, where
Did you feel frustrated by any chance that, I'm not getting these VST using techniques, and I'm not comfortable with computer programming? And
it did to me, but then that challenge became my strength later on, because then I started producing orchestral things, and in a way that they sounded live, and Raju sir has been very elemental in that progress, where he actually motivated me that, don't be dependent, because not every producer is going to give you money enough to, dub live instruments and everything. So make a track that's, self-standing. Don't worry about it. Just, and even if you want to, those words really strike me when he said that even if you want to give out those pieces to a live ensemble, you need to play it with a feel so that they understand, they can write out the dynamics, and everything. So I think I found that very, very valid, and I took it up. So that became one of my strengths, to produce, to arrange, and and another challenge was to fit into the environment. Was every piece of music I did in my initial musical career and all, it was all self-satisfactory, that I love doing this, I love doing that, and I was doing the way I wanted, But after coming to Bombay, everything was client-driven. You have to do what the client wants. So it was a huge battle within. It was a huge. I would say.
Was it compromising with your morals and principles?
It did actually. Where I wanted to, and it happened also a couple of times. Rajuji, although never stopped me from working with any other composer. So I kept on working with some other new composers and all, and that is where my inner fight began. Because if I wanted a particular harmony happening on one piece of the music or something, and the composer would come in and he say, no, I'm not comfortable with this. So to compromise and to give the composer what he wanted was a big challenge for me to accept that, things need to be done that way. So I think that was one issue. But then later on, my fellow musicians, they said that they advised me, they guided me that, strike a balance between both of them. It's not just compromising on your ideas, but give the client what he wants, but in the best possible manner,
right,
without losing the musicality and the musicianship within a track.
Right. Since you're not from Bombay, did you face resistance also? Though Raju Singh took you in his fold, did you face that resistance from other producers or programmers saying that ये बाहर से आ जाते हैं, they take away our jobs? And
never. Rather, I was supported. If I can take names, I never met Gulraj Singh, fantastic producer and composer and all. I never met him but I just met him once, bumped into him in a studio, and I said that let's meet up. And he was so welcoming. He said, come over, man, play me your stuff, And the next thing I remember, he recommending me to Shankar Ehsanlo. I went to, and I got to work with them. So there have been so many instances around, there have been.
So the community is open enough?
It's very open, I didn't even know Shantanu sir at YRF. He recommended Clinton my name, that worked with Meghdeep. He's a nice guy, without me even knowing it. So it's absolutely false whether, that there's any sort of resistance in the musicians community over here. Rather people are more supportive, and it is absolutely because of the fellow musicians that I've been able to grow, because they never stop me from sitting in their sessions. If I go and peek into their sessions, that can I see this, can I see that, just for the curiosity. They've never stopped you, if you've been a newcomer, and it's worth learning, because if God is giving to them, they've been transferring it ahead, they've been passing it on, which is worth learning, not and not just musicians, but it's the kind of spirit the musicians community has in Bombay. Rather, the whole world should follow it, and there would be peace all around, if people like these existed all around.
Okay. And so I'm sure you will pass this on to other Meghdeeps in the future.
Hopefully, yes.
So coming back to some songs that you've done, any favorites and any experiences you'd like to share from that? Okay,
so my majority of my songs, not scores, majority of my songs have happened with Amal. And that too from his initial stages also, when he started doing films and all. So I was fortunate to bump into him right in the beginning of his.
You keep bumping into people?
I keep bumping. I'm a bumpy bag, So I not exactly bumped into him, but I was introduced to him by Dipesh Sharma, who used to be in YRF that time.
Yes.
So Amal was searching for a producer for his upcoming track.
I'm just curious about this. A lot of people ask us, sir, आप लोग बोलते तो हो कि यहाँ काम करता है, वहाँ काम करता है, पैसे की कोई बात नहीं करता. So I'm saying, when you started off, I don't want the figures, but I'm saying, are you paid for
yes.
your work?
Yes, absolutely.
क्या नया चलना फुकट में करवा?
नहीं, absolutely.
Is that the attitude?
No. I honestly, I mean, it's my fortune that I haven't come across with any people in the industry who've exploited me on any grounds. And Mr. Raju Singh has been my shield actually, because I knew nobody else in Bombay. It was only him. So in the initial years, even today, he shields me out from a lot of things. I ask him that, what to do, what not to do, whom to meet, and stuff like that. So he never, he always states an opinion. He never insists me on anything. But he always keeps me, informed that, just do. And rather, he has always motivated me to do the work first. He said that just do the work, just plunge into it, because if you do your work right, you would be paid for it,
Right.
And luckily I came across composers who've been very, very honest and very just in terms of this thing.
So no one's ever taken advantage of you कि नया लड़का है छोड़ना कम में करेगा?
I have never let them actually. I have never let them, because I know that the kind of content I've been offering them is not.
So that confidence in yourself also is important too.
Yes, absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely.
So you met Amal, and then what is the first song?
So he basically overheard my stuff while Deepesh Bhai was mixing something, and he said, so I had produced a couple of numbers for a client based in London.
Achha.
So it was mix of Bollywood and R&B and those stuff. So he said, I want something in this zone. You are the right amalgamation. So take this track and produce it for me. So before that, I used to do a lot of backing vocals arrangement for Santosh Mulekar and Amal, and I did Nana's backing vocals, Khoobsurat, for Amal. But he didn't know that I produce, So yeah, somehow. And I also never told him. I just came in, produced, did the vocals and went out. So he said that, do this track for me, and we'll take it further from there. So he gave me the track, and the track was Main Hu Hero Tera, basically. So that is where my collaborations with him started, and he was pretty receptive to my ideas and everything. So he's I love working with him. That's another reason why I love him.
You talk about loving to work with a particular composer. What are the qualities and what are the things that you look for and that make you comfortable?
Number one is the receptivity, the open-mindedness of a composer, because when you work with somebody new, not as in the composer is new or something, but when somebody is new to you, So Amal was very new to me. I didn't know his tastes, and I never technically I had never heard of him also, But when I met him, number one is the vibe. He has a very good vibe, very good person. And number two, we struck a balance. We struck a balance in terms of ideas and tastes and everything, And he knew what to cut off from the track and what not, So I think we it's when it comes to loving working with somebody, it's always about arriving at the same school of thoughts and tastes and the way you approach something and all,
Any skills that you think a music producer should have in order to sustain work?
Okay. I've been getting this question actually a lot by the newcomers.
Yeah.
The first and foremost skill is that you need to be a musician first. You cannot buy a Logic Pro and you become, or if you cannot buy an Ableton or an FL and become a music producer just like that. You need to be a pianist. Or, you need to be a musician first, know music, understand music, understand the fundas of harmonies, Once you're done becoming a good musician, start playing sessions out there, play for others. Your real test happens when you do it for others. It's not when you're doing it for yourself, So once you're done, once you're sure that you're a good musician, start playing sessions for others. Become an arranger. Know what is the art of arrangement. It's not just putting out chords or putting out samples and all. I'm not saying that's not making music, but then sense of harmony is very important. What sense of a musicianship, basically an overall musicianship. It's not just getting a software or So the basic skill is being the musician. You cannot escape. If you're a music producer, you have to be a musician.
Got it.
And history says it all, that the greatest of musicians, the greatest of music producers or composers have been great musicians first by themselves. They've had a strong history they've had a strong past of musicianship. You know, they've even if you talk about Panchamda, who had his father, he worked hard so many years under his father. You know, arranging and doing stuff. Just an example.
Yeah.
You know, Rahman Saab, why he's sustaining even today as A.R. Rahman is because he's seen such a brilliant path of music. You know, despite of hardships, despite he's done everything when it comes to music. You know, right from rolling tape to arranging scores or conducting or sound, whatever. So I think seeing those stages is very important. You know, taking steps. You know, just becoming a composer is not what I would suggest, or just becoming a music producer. You know, everybody needs to have a journey. You know, as
So
a
what you're saying
musician.
is go through each stage.
Every stage, yes, that
Don't
is
look
what
for
that is what is
shortcuts.
important.
No shortcuts.
No shortcuts, absolutely no shortcuts. You know, work hard.
Anything else that you think newcomers should kind of learn from your own experiences?
Go out and explore other musicians. You know,
That is an important point. What does you mean by that?
Because after these technological reforms and everything, we all tend to sit back at our home studio, you know, and be within the four walls of our room and make music, you know, which is okay. But then, how do you upgrade yourself as a musician? How do you know that there is something better than what you're doing? Is to basically go out and listen to somebody, you know. So I think that's very important, that, you know, your chemistry with other musicians matters a lot. It's not just you and your computer and your client. It's never like that. It has to be a joint effort when it comes to music making.
Cool. Thank you so much for those inputs.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of viewers will get inspired by your journey as well as your things that you are doing, and I've just kind of shared.
Thank you so much.
So Meghdeep, have a great musical career.
Thank you so much.
And we'll catch up again and
for sure
share some more details and
absolutely
techniques that you use.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.